was Gilead, and it had
Yeah.
this beautiful cup and handle back in March of 2014, and then it broke out. It broke
Yeah.
out in July of 2014, and went this really nice run up from $85 up to 110, eventually up to 116. So, how much technical analysis, if any, is involved in your own research?
Yeah, I was going to say I don't I hope I don't hurt any feelings by saying this, but in my opinion, zero. There are
All
actually
right.
there are a lot of technical analysis people in biotech, and they're brilliant, and a lot of people know how to do it that way. I don't. I'm 100% fundamental, and that's actually a good thing to quickly talk about because it just goes to show, you really need to understand these stocks. What I'm doing on a daily basis is I'm taking a company that's, trying to have a drug for an ear disease, and I'm like going through literature and like finding things on the internet. I'm trying to figure out, how many people in this country and how many people in this world have that disease. What are the other drugs out there for it? What's the potential commercial prospects of this? Is it going to have 30% of the market, or is it, a good enough drug to have 60% of the market? And that's all a long calculation that you have to make that brings you to the net present value of the, the stock and the company. And so I do very little technical analysis. I try to figure out, what's the market opportunity, what's the current valuation, and how confident am I that a stock can go from point A to point B. And the other thing that you always have to consider with biotech stocks is they're very event driven. It's based off of when they release trial results, or when they hear back from the FDA about whether they're going to get approved or not.
Right.
And so I know that, that's reflected in the charts somewhat, but a biotech stock can be doing like this. It can look like a great chart, but if there's something important happening tomorrow, it can immediately do that.
Right. Right.
And sometimes that's not really reflected in the technical analysis. And so another thing that you've got to do, and that I would definitely recommend to the people out there, if they're you talked about the three steps of how to invest in these things. If they go a step beyond the ETFs where they're picking individual names, even if you're a technical analysis person, you've at least got to do the minimum homework to know what all of the important milestone dates are that
Mm.
could, affect the stock significantly, where it might jump up a lot, or, might fall down a lot if, things don't go so well. You have to know that stuff very well because biotech is not, you can't buy a stock and just like, you can't, I could buy Coca-Cola and not even look at it for 3 years, and then just like, 3 years later, be happy and look at the price. You can't even do that with a biotech stock for a week because, anything can happen. You have to know all of the events and all of the risks very well. And you've got to understand what you're getting yourself into.
Sure. Well, and you're talking about these events, and now, like when earnings season comes into play, we're always big advocates, whether it be on our market recaps or on air, whatever it may be, is that you have to know your earnings dates. But with biotechs, if what I'm understanding you're saying here, Brad, it's not necessarily just earnings. You're talking about when is this big drug result coming out? When is this potential news? When is this next big conference coming out where the CEO is speaking? Am I right? It's about
That's
those kind of catalysts that can be a huge, have a huge impact on the stock price.
That's exactly right. You've got to know that stuff, with a laser focus, because if you don't, you could wake up one morning and, bad news is waiting for you, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Brad, this has been, we're only a couple minutes over here, but this has been just awesome. It's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it. Now, again, the loncarblog.com. I have the URL up here. You can all definitely read his blog. Send him a bunch of emails, bug him, because he needs to get on ticker.tv. I want to see the Brad Loncar channel, because this just would be, I'd be subscribing in 2 seconds. And
Well,
then
thank
also
you.
on Twitter, it's Brad Loncar. I'll post the links again. And, Brad, really appreciate the time. Really appreciate the insight. The educational side of it is just like so exciting. So I wish you the absolute best of success here with your investments in 2015. And I look forward to our next conversation, because there's so much more we can discuss and talk about in this ever evolving arena of the biotech.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks a lot for inviting me. And good luck to you and everybody out there in their trading as well. It's going to be a very interesting year in the markets with, everything that's going on with oil prices and the Swiss franc and all, China slowing down. There's a lot of volatility going on right now that we're not used to seeing. And so it's going to be a very interesting year ahead.
I would definitely say there's going to be some drama. So thanks again, Brad. We're going to cut it off here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and watching. And yeah, click that follow button. I hope to have more great interviews with Brad and others here in the future. And thanks for watching. Again, thanks again, Brad. All right.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye,
See ya.
everybody.
See you, everyone.